Now back to iRun, the running show on Sports Radio Team 1200.
Welcome back to the show. Well, our next guest completed the 100-kilometer Sears Great Canadian Run. We told you about this event a few weeks ago. It is the relay to end kids' cancer, but he did it on his own, raising almost $13,500. Stephen Thomas joins us on the show. Hi, Stephen.
How you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you?
Excellent, thanks. Excellent.
So you ran 100 kilometers from Ottawa to Montebello, right?
That's correct. Didn't do it alone. Had some people along the way helping me. But, yeah, we covered the whole 100 kilometers.
When you say you didn't do it alone, though, did you do all the running yourself?
Yes, I did all the running myself.
So it was a group effort in the sense that there were people supporting you, but you did the running on your own.
Correct. I had a bunch of people coming out and running short legs of the run with me just to kind of keep my mind sane.
Right. So what was that experience like? First of all, how long did it take you?
I think someone told me it was about 11 and a half hours. It was more of a run rather than a race, so we weren't really focused on the time. The experience was nothing like I'd experienced before. I'd done several races, like Ironman, marathons, and that in the past several years. And this past August, for some reason, I finished my Ironman completely ecstatic with my time, and for some reason, something felt missing. And a couple of weeks after, I found myself asking myself, why am I doing all these events? And everything, I just, was missing something. And then someone told me about the Sears Great Canadian Run, and I said, "Oh, that just sounds like a good cause." And they told me you have to raise a bit of money. You can run as part of a team, and I think the team was the size of 6 people or something. And to me, it was just going out and raising money to go run 15 kilometers. Just didn't seem like I'd be too epic. Not too many people would want to contribute to the cause. If it's something I do every day on my lunch hour kind of thing. So I sat back, had a chat with my wife, had a chat with a few friends, and said, you know what, I think I'm going to try and do the whole thing and see if I can raise $10,000.
And you raised a lot more than that.
We did. It was quite surprising, actually. I mean, when I made the decision to do it, it was about 5 weeks out from the race. So on top of, only never run further than a marathon, so I had to get myself up to the mileage to do the 100 kilometers. The goal was pretty lofty, and the people that jumped on board were just phenomenal. I've used a lot of social media to push the event and the fact that we were trying to raise money and what my goals were. But my big push was, we all get inundated with, requests, sponsor me here, raising money for this. So I tried to go after the corporate aspect of it and see if I could get a few corporate sponsors to jump on board. And that I think helped a lot, getting the publicity, getting a lot of backing by sponsors. We had sponsors who donated monetary dollars, and then we had others who donated their products and their services, which I'm part of an organization called GoodGuysTri. We use those products and services, and we tried to auction them off, and the money we made from that we put towards the cause.
So I want to make sure I understand this clearly. 5 weeks before this 100-kilometer run, you decided, not only am I going to do a 100-kilometer run, even though I've never run further than 42 kilometers, but I'm going to raise $10,000 in the next 5 weeks as well.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you had just done an Ironman, so it's not like you were out of shape or anything, but 100 kilometers is still a lot further than 42 kilometers.
Yeah, so, there was a lot of concern because, like you said, the longest run I'd ever done was 42.2 kilometers, and I was worried how my body was going to hold up. A lot of the people I talked to, they're like, oh, it's no problem, you've done an Ironman, you go out and you spend 10-plus hours running around doing your stuff there. I said, it's a little different doing the running because, for the 10-plus hours that you're in an Ironman, an hour and a bit is done in the swim, and 5 and a bit are done on a bike, which are very minimal impact to your body. So, running, I've only ever run for at most, 3.5 hours at most. So trying to run a whole entire day for 11.5 hours, I wasn't quite sure how the body was going to hold up. I wasn't sure how nutrition worked. So I started pulling in a few of my resources, people who had done this before, and kind of set a plan in motion, did some training, and off we went.
So what was the training like for those 5 weeks? Because normally you'd be ramping up for a few months up to this kind of distance, right? Maybe even 6 months.
Yeah. So like you said, though, I mean, going into it, I had a pretty solid base coming out of the Ironman, so I knew the engine was there. It was more, can you get the joints, the legs, and the mind ready to endure the day? So I think typically leading up to the Ironman, my typical run mileage for a week would be, between 50 and 70 kilometers a week. And when I made this decision, I got the mileage up to about 100K a week. I was doing, Fridays was my triple run day. I'd run into work, which was about 20-some kilometers. I'd run while at work at lunch for about 10 to 12 kilometers, and then we'd run home again that same distance. So that was my, the big day. I'd also, on the weekends, I think I got my longest single run up to was 50 kilometers, just to, get at least halfway.
Yeah.
And that was 2 weeks out from the event, and then we started tapering from there. So it was basically a ramp up for 3 weeks, and then 2 weeks of ramping down as a cool down taper.
So on Fridays you would run to work about 20K, run at lunch hour, and then run home again another 20K.
Yeah.
Wow.
Put your backpack on your back and go.
Yeah.
It's trying. We have a young family, so trying to minimize the impact to the family while trying to get the mileage required. So every other day was run at lunchtimes, and the weekend, my wife was kind enough to give me one morning, or most of a morning, to go do my one long run. So I needed to get a little more mileage in there. So I came up with the thought of running 3 times in one day.
So after all that training, how did the event itself go? How difficult was it for you to run 100 kilometers, twice as far as you'd ever run it once before?
Yeah, so it wasn't as tough as I thought it was going to be. I mean, I had several really dark spots. Around 55 kilometers, the mind shuts off and says, why are you doing this? Things start to hurt. Around 75, the same thing, got in a really dark spot and came out of it. Those only lasted about 5 kilometers to run, and then I think the worst part is part of the journey is at around 90 kilometers, they ferry you across from the Ontario side to the Quebec side. And my intention was just to keep walking around the vehicles while we were going across the ferry. But
just to keep moving.
Exactly, but it got extremely cold. So I hopped in, and 3 minutes in, and I just completely seized up. I needed help getting out of the vehicle. I had people massaging my calves, trying to stretch out my hip flexor. I couldn't move my right leg at all. But within 5 minutes, we got it going again, and we finished on the running, not walking. So it was nice. But I think the big trick is that the entire day I had at least 2 people with me. I had a camera crew following me to document the whole entire process.
So there's actually being a documentary is actually being made about this.
Correct. There's a documentary being made covering the lead-up training, the actual event, and then there's some post-event footage there. It's being put together by Capture a Video right now, and I'm anxiously waiting for that. But the actual event, running all day, they have 16 checkpoints along the way. So you never looked at it as a whole entire 100-kilometer journey. You looked at it as, okay, I got 12 kilometers to get to the next checkpoint.
Right.
And at each checkpoint, since I had a lot of corporate sponsors, I was either changing a shirt, I was grabbing a banner and getting some footage for the documentary, refueling my pack. And so you had a nice little mental break. I mean, the breaks were maybe 5-7 minutes long, and then we'd continue running. But having 2-3 people sometimes with me running, they were amazing. Some of the people were just laughing, joking around, singing songs to keep the spirits high. I had my training partner. He was part of one of the relay teams, and he ran the first 24K, and then he ran the entire way with me the rest. So we were together the whole day. So I had company all the way.
When you look back on the experience now, what did you get out of it? Is this something that you'd like to do again? Are there other tougher challenges out there for you? What's your conclusion from all of this?
The experience was so rewarding that I'd definitely like to do it again. I mean, I love racing and doing things for me, but the sense of doing good, giving back to people, helping others out was incredible. And I mean, as rewarding as crossing the finish line was, and everybody celebrating and cheering that I made the accomplishment, I think the most rewarding part was the weeks after the event. The amount of phone calls and emails from friends and family and even complete strangers just walking up to me who had heard about the event and telling me that they were not only inspired, motivated, but they've also set goals. They've also gone out and said, well, today's a rainy day. I usually wouldn't run, but, Steve went out and ran that distance. I'm going to go out and run it too. And it was incredible to hear that. And then I also have other people saying, two of the gentlemen I met in the race, they said, well, that was quite inspiring. I'm going to go out next year, and I'm going to try and do the 100K as well and raise funds as well. So, I mean, you had the whole experience of feeling rewarding that, yes, I finished the distance, but the experience from everyone else, the feedback on how it would touch them and motivated them was just incredible. So for that reason alone, I think I would definitely do something like that again.
Do you have anything specific in mind, or are you just gonna wait a little bit before you make that commitment? I gather your wife is going to have some say in this as well.
You read my laugh very well there. No, she's been extremely supportive with a lot going on in the last couple of years with all the events I've done. I've told myself I'm going to sit back and take the next 2 months, enjoy family time, not said anything, but they're also very supportive in terms of what's your next thing, what do you want to go do. So I'll probably go back and do some more triathlons, hopefully an Ironman in the next couple of years again. But probably some ultra trail running is in the near future for next summer.
Very cool. Well done, to say the least. I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment. And not just running 100 kilometers, but raising $13,500 for kids' cancers. That's a big part of it, too. And you did that in a very short period of time. So congratulations to you. What a fantastic achievement.
Thank you. And I mean, again, it wasn't all done myself. I mean, as I said, I was part of an organization called GoodGuysTri, and there's an army of people out there that want to do good, and they all got behind this event and promoted it, raised the funds, and in addition to the cancer research this was done for, we're continuously raising for other organizations such as Impossible to Possible and a few other local charities.
Right on. Well, Steve, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
Stephen Thomas, who just did the 100-kilometer Sears Great Canadian Run in September, raised $13,500 for children's cancer research. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's show. Thanks a lot for joining us. Ray and I will be back next week. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.